In life, you have opportunities, and sometimes you take it or you leave it, and that's what makes you who you are.
Having the right attitude and character, being a level founder, you don't find that many resources out there teaching you how to. A lot of the things that happen to you, you just get smacked in the face. All of a sudden, it's like, where did this come from? Yeah. Why is it happening? And that's the whole purpose of Misfit Founders as well, right? I want to help aspiring founders preempt some of these things.
It doesn't really matter in life in which area or which expertise or which domain you're in. At the end, what matters is
how do I pronounce your name? I was looking at it. It's Loïc.
It's Loïc, yes.
Loïc, okay. I always get thrown off by the little characters on top and so on. Although I say I get thrown off, but in Romanian language we do have quite a bit of those tildes on top and things like that. But it's different language. So, Loïc, thank you so much for joining me today. Would be great to start with a quick intro of who you are, an elevator pitch of your business, your current business, and maybe also tell us where did you flew in from for the audience to know.
Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Loïc. I'm from originally Belgium. I'm Belgian, but I live in Switzerland for 5 years. I have a background in chemistry, and I've worked in the pharma industry for 16 years. But I think that was just a preparation to jump into the entrepreneur world. I got ideas since my 20s to start stuff, but I never dared to jump into the water, and I just did. And the business I'm currently busy with is sustainable packaging. So in general, what I like to do in life is helping people, helping me included, but also help the planet. I would like to make this place an even better place. And for me, waste is a challenge today, and especially in retailers or e-commerce, you have boxes you use only a few hours, and the idea was to create a box that can protect the content during the transport, but can also collapse to have minimum space during storage and be easy to return. So that's what I'm busy with.
How does that transition? Because you're coming from a medicine background,
Scientific, yes.
Scientific, to this packaging and sustainable eco type of business. How is there any relationship there, or simply you saw a problem and you decided to try your hand at solving it?
I think in general in life, nothing occurs by chance, and there are connections. Of course, there is the connection between the two, but also I think science and my studies gave me a very structured approach in everything I do. And I think how I address this waste issue was basically using science to build the product, address it from a scientific perspective. We made some scientific research to define which was the best material to build the packaging in, sustainable sources, and also from a physical perspective, how should we design something that can collapse, but also when it's open will be stiff enough or rigid enough to protect the content like a normal box. So that was the challenge we had to overcome. And of course, on the top of it, we needed to create something which was very, very easy for the user to manipulate. There are some solutions, some competitors out there who create kind of the similar idea, but their solution, to me at least, are more cumbersome to use. You need 30 seconds, 40 seconds to build the box, where in our case, it's instant. You open it instantly. And that was, I think, the scientific approach will allow us to patent that solution and create something which fits the customer at the end. Because in every startup, and you know that better than me probably, it's always about fixing their problem, fixing their issue. And if you address that, then you will have a business case to sell. If you just do something on your side and you're not sure there will be someone to buy into it, then you have no chance to make a business out of it.
Yeah, very true. Right. So to make sure that I understand this correctly, the way you kind of managed to interlock your background, your scientific background with this business of the packaging business was, one, the approach to scientific research, which you are very comfortable with, and then two, you're using your scientific background to do materials research and figure out what's the best materials for you to use in order to make sure that it's a reusable package and it folds properly and it carries everything.
Correct. And also our material, our solution is made of different materials combined. And the way we have designed it is that there is no physical or chemical connection between those materials. They are just slide it into each other, meaning that when one is tear or damaged, you can replace only that part. So from a life cycle perspective, it extends the lifetime of the box, meaning that you can replace what has been damaged and continue to use the rest. So that's, from a sustainability perspective, that's even better. So it's exactly that.
So you're currently, so you're solving this the product challenge. Have you already looked at the business side of it? Have you thought about, well, okay, so I'm solving this problem around packaging. How am I going to transform this into a business? Have you already decided?
Yes, it's a very good question. And actually, and again, I will make the link with what we just said before, which was connecting with potential customer, but you need to network and connect with other actors in the field. And when you do that, you receive very valuable feedback. And of course, when you receive feedback, it's your right to take it or leave it. But what we did is we realized that today the market is not ready, meaning from an infrastructure perspective, but also from a mindset perspective, even if some governments start to regulate it. When you deliver something at a private address, imagine you go online and you order something and you ask for it to be delivered at your place. The retailer has no control on the packaging as soon as it's arrived to your place, meaning that it's the customer who will decide in the end if they want to be disciplined enough to return the packaging. And you can have some incentive regarding, you can have a deposit, you can send them reminder, blah, 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 but it's out of their control. So we realized that if we wanted to make it a sustainable business, a viable business, it's better to focus on flows where the retailer or the vendor has control on the packaging during the entire cycle. So that's the closed loop. And that's why today we focus on click and collect. The customer goes to the local shop, the local store to pick up the goods, and will leave the box there, and the box will return back to the warehouse using the same truck that just delivered it. So we use the existing logistics from the brands to just move the boxes from one place to another. And there we have traction because the logistic is already available. And when you come with the challenge of, okay, but it's a nice idea, but how will I ensure that my customer will send me back the boxes I just buy to you? That's a challenge. And that's where the customer usually say, you know what, I'm not sure I will go that route. But when you say you will be in control from A to Z, there they buy.
I was laughing when you mentioned about the carriers and the logistics companies and so on not being in control of the supplier of the products, the shipping. I was laughing, I was smiling because I buy stuff, and often most of the times I buy from Amazon. And I feel that I've been recently so rubbish with the packaging because I send stuff back, right? I send stuff back, and that's even worse, right? Because I realize, oh, I don't have a box because I just threw the box. The product is not a fit. I don't need the product. Oh, I should have kept the box at least, the original Amazon shipping box. And that, now that you're talking about this makes me feel extremely bad because I'm like, wasted so much cardboard. Yeah. How, so you mentioned about the customer coming to the collection point and basically taking their goods, their product that they order and so on without the box. Is this usually a thing that happens in these pickup points, like delivery pickup points? Do people just take the stuff on their own? Do you have like data around this? Because I'm thinking one of the, I don't know if it's a challenge, you have the data and you've researched this better than me, but first thing that comes into my head is, well, if I go there to pick up and I have a package that contains multiple products inside, I need another carry on bag or something like that to take those my products that I ordered and take them home. Is that a thing? Do people, how does that usually work? One, the first part of the question is this already a trend or something that's happening where people collect from pickup points and collect without the boxes? And two, or do you, the purpose is for you to educate and make this possible? And two, what happens if someone has multiple packages? Is there a disposable bag that they take it in? So what, in that sense, post them giving the actual shipping package back?
So the first data point was that all potential customer told us that currently their e-commerce volume, there is about 30 to 40%, which is click and collect. So the customer, the end customer, when they do order online, they decide and they check, and most of the retailers do that now, even Amazon, there is a threshold where you go above, then you have free shipping. Below it, you have the cost for the shipping. So
they're incentivized.
Correct.
Right.
So now there are lots, and that's even more valid after the pandemic. During pandemic, the e-commerce just raised, and the customers decided to, you know what, I just need that, I don't need more, but I'm below the threshold, so I will just select the click and collect in the option for the delivery. I anyway go to do my grocery shopping to the city center, whatever, so I just pass by.
And people are doing their 9 to 5s. Deliveries are a bit random at home when they're going to deliver your package. You might not be at home. You might not want it, leave it left on the porch and stuff. No, I understand. Like, you know, because I work from home, I have everything delivered. And I was also thinking, do that many people go to click and collect? Because people are very comfy. But you're right. If you incentivize your customers to collect rather than getting paid, basically getting packages at home. Plus, if you, if you're the type of person that goes shopping and it's very easy and convenient for you, like you said, to pick it up from there, it makes a lot of sense. And then there are people that still go to the office, believe it or not. There's people that still work in the office space or have a on location 9 to 5. And it's easier to say, oh, just drop it there and I'll just pick it up on my way back from work.
Exactly. So you mentioned the education of the end customer. Do we need to educate them for a new solution? I think if you have to do that upfront, it reduces the chances for your business to be successful. You should leverage something which
infrastructures,
exactly, which is already existing, and then that becomes automatic. And then afterwards, you can go one step further and change a bit and push the customer in different direction according to what you just validate with that first step. So I think it's very important for the user to be comfortable and not change them too much. And then you answer to an existing issue, an existing problem with your solution. And that's the best case for your business.
It sounds very organic, to be honest, like a very natural fit for your business in this strategy, logistics strategy, because one, I can very easily see how some of these shipping delivery services would just add another option on the how do you want to receive your package, and rather than just saying pick it up from location, from pickup location, pick it up from pickup location without the shipping package, right? And you get an additional discount or additional something in there that further incentivizes you. So because again, that infrastructure already exists to incentivize people. And I also understand why shipping companies do this, because it's that last mile thing that's been always a headache for delivery companies. And if I can just drop everything at pickup points, it's easier from a logistics perspective. You
Correct.
have predefined points. It might be easier access. It's a completely different story. So they already want to incentivize the customer. And if you come with your proposition and say, hey, use my package, and also look, you can push further your service and your discounts to your customers, which that's what people want. They want to get the best out of it. Then you can basically get additional discount on that.
Correct.
It seems like you're working on solving an important problem. Not only that, it also sounds like you have already exciting avenues in order to make your business work, right? To kickstart your business off the ground.
Correct. Yes.
Wanted to go back and ask a very simple question. Why did you leave Belgium and move to Switzerland?
Oh, basically I was doing some project in Belgium, and out of the blue there was a headhunter who just called me and say, hey, we like what you do. Could you think about moving to Switzerland and do the same thing? And I'm married, I have 2 kids, and it was kind of a question. Okay, we have family, relative, everything here, social activities, friends, and I discussed it with my wife, and she told me, you know what, Switzerland, I'm in. So we just made the interviews and everything went well, and I moved to Switzerland in 2018 and got 5 years of incredible experience at work in the pharma industry, but then things turned differently. And I think it doesn't really matter in life in which area or which expertise or which domain you're in. I think at the end what matters is how you do things, with who you connect, and the experience you can live, so you can have a happy life in whatever topic you're in. And now I'm in this sustainable business. I have other ideas in mind that hopefully will come through soon. But yeah, that was, I don't know, in life you have opportunities, and sometimes you take it or you leave it, and that's what makes you who you are.
So you said those are really encouraging, motivating words, first of all. You said that, someone said, well, really like what you do. How about you come and do it here in Switzerland, right? For those of us that have no idea of your industry, can you give me a dumbed down version of what you do or what you did in the medicine field, scientific medicine field? If that can, if I know it's a very hard topic to be dumbed down, but for those of us that understand very little of this industry, like what were some of your what did you own? What kind of tasks were you doing?
Okay. So I started, in the lab doing some testing on some medicine, vaccine, etc. And then with the years, I took some distance from the chemistry and was more into the management and organization of things. Mm-hmm. And I was in charge of doing project for the pharmaceutical industry, meaning moving production line from a country to another, changing some specific steps of a process, changing some material, changing some equipment, changing some ingredients to keep the quality of the product, because that's what matters in the end, is ensure that you will provide the same drug that has been validated and demonstrated as efficient to a patient, and you want to continue to serve that patient with the same level of quality. And that's what I was in charge of, was continuous improvement to ensure that what we deliver to the patients stay consistent. So that was my job, organizing all the teams around that process activity, from quality, supply chain, regulatory, manufacturing, to ensure that at the end the product stays accessible for the patient. But that's very far away from what I'm doing now. But I think I learned along the way some tricks and methodology that makes me more efficient in what I'm doing today with the business as a solopreneur, and that's very exciting. And yeah.
Well, we're here to talk about your history as well. So
okay, that's fine. That's fine.
That's why I'm asking these questions. But that seems like a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. We're talking here about products that have a positive impact on a lot of people's lives. And if not done proper, it can be the opposite, right?
Correct. Yes.
So that's a lot of pressures. Cheeky question: was it paid well? Are these kind of roles paid well in this industry?
It's I do not have a lot to compare to, but pharma industry has the reputation to be a good field. So I believe I got a correct salary. I don't know. I have nothing to compare.
Is this what you started doing right after uni and school?
Correct.
Right.
I started in the pharma industry directly after university. So that's why I do not have other industry to compare to. And I did that for 16 years. So I stayed in the pharma industry for 16 years.
Well, these questions have a purpose. They're leading somewhere. Okay. It sounds like the pharma medicine industry is all you knew up until recently, right? That right out of education came in, done that for 16 years. It also sounds like it was a significantly well-paid role, though you probably are going to be modest about it, right? And so on. But in general, pharma pays really well, right? Given these things, what made you take the plunge into entrepreneurship? Because I know a lot of people that wouldn't take that plunge because it's a really risky one. I'm giving away the comfort of my industry in which I've grown as a professional for 16 years. I've evolved. I got better at what I do. More people respect my input and my work and so on. I'm getting better pays, I suppose, because not always, you get pay raises and so on. And this is what I know really well. And again, I know people that are fearful of taking that plunge. I am one of them, right? We were just talking earlier about, that I'm considering doing more creative stuff, getting deeper into filmmaking. But I do have that fear of, I've been a developer and built SaaS businesses for such a long time. This is such a unfamiliar path to me that it kind of keeps me a bit modest and not taking the huge, very confident leap. So I wanna ask, one, was it a confident leap into entrepreneurship? And two, why take this leap?
Very good question, and you're going below the varnish here, but I will be very, very transparent and blunt.
That's the whole purpose of the show.
There are a couple of ways to answer that question. I think the first thing I would like to mention is before moving into the pharma industry, I did a lot of small job or student job. I touched to a lot of things, from lifeguard on swimming pool to the grocery store. I did a lot of different jobs since my 16 until my, 25. I was running a support school for students from high school, helping them with mathematics, physics, chemistry. So I touched on different areas. So when you say that I was only knowing pharma, that's kind of true from a professional perspective.
Right.
But I also had some experience in different fields. On the top of it, and I think that helped me a lot with the discipline, I used to be a sportman. I play to a certain level of field hockey. And I think it helped me to get organized around my sport, because it's a team sport. So you need to go to the training on the Tuesday, on the Thursday, on the Friday. You have the game on the Sunday. So
discipline.
You need to be organized the rest of the time to ensure you will be able to go to your training, because you owe it for your teammates, because you cannot train. It's a sport team, right? So team sport, sorry. So you cannot train alone, or you cannot train with half a team. Everyone needs to be there. So I think it forces you to be organized the rest of the time to do whatever you need to do for school, for university, your social activity. You need to organize around those fixed windows. And then lastly, and that's probably the most important step, is entrepreneurship was calling me from years. I got ideas along the way during my pharma careers, and I say maybe one day I will do it. And I was staying in my comfort zone, as you said, because it was well paid. I knew my stuff. I was enjoying it. It was very fantastic years, even if sometimes it can be a bit stressful, sometimes tears and very difficult moment. But globally, I really enjoy it. And then the company I was moving for to Switzerland and just restructure, they lost some agreement in the US and they had to restructure the company. So that was for me a signal from life saying, hey, you did that so far and you were thinking about something else. Maybe that's the moment to jump into the border and do something that you have in mind for a long time. So that's, I think, what pushed me into the water and take the plunge, as you said.
That makes that makes a lot of sense. From and I think being 16 years in an industry, you have to like it, or you have to learn to like it,
Yes.
unless you have absolutely no other option, right? So I do believe that it wasn't just a job for you, and I suppose that makes the decision and the transition even harder, right? It's because it's not something that you completely hate and you want to exit it, right?
Correct. No, I loved it. It was, I think that the colleagues I work with and the project and the partners I've dealt with, I think they could feel the passion when I was doing it. And that was also the driver for me, and whatever the industry, whatever the topic, it's always possible to find some stuff that you will like in your daily job. And when you can turn and focus on that positive moment for you, then I think you can transform your mindset. And that's also true in the entrepreneurship. When you start a business, there are stuff that you like and push you through, and there are some stuff that you have to do. I don't like accounting, but it's part of the job. You have to do it,
Yeah.
and you have to focus and accept that there are some positive and very enthusiastic moments, and there are others that you just need to go through.
On top of your mind, what are some of the things, practices, sources of inspiration and aid that help you do the switch and start on the founder path? So did you do any, for example, courses, or did you had any mentors, talk to people? What helped you do this transition, or did you had anything that helped you make the transition a bit smoother?
I'm lucky to live in Switzerland for many reasons, but one of them is that there is a fantastic startup community in Switzerland, and the government is also supporting startups. So they offer you courses to know a bit more about the space, what are the things to pay attention for. They help you to incorporate your company when you have a good idea. So that's, I think, helped me a lot. So I want to thank InnoSwiss for that. They do a really great job, and Venture Lab as well. Also, I think a big help is coming from your direct network, and it starts with friends and family. I'm very lucky to have great support from my wife. She's accepting that risk, that's okay. I got a good job, stable, blah, blah, blah. And now you're jumping into, shallow water. So she's supporting me on that field, and that's fantastic. Also the kids, they were playing with my boxes into the living room, say, hey, Dad, this one is cool. So that was cool as well. And then, of course, you need to connect with startups like you, like others. And that's what I did for the last, I don't know, it really helps me to connect with people and share experience. And you give them something, they will give back, they connect you, they introduce you to some others. And then it creates it's not about business, it's about humanity and connection. And I think at the end, doing a business, you do it because you like it. Eventually you will do money. But I think at the end of the day, you can have the best places to live in, fantastic car, you go in fantastic places in places for vacation. But if you have no one to share those moments with, it's a bit of useless, right? So I think that's true as well from the beginning of the entrepreneurship, is that you need to connect with people and share your experience, learn from them. And that's so I don't know, the excitement you get from the sharing you do with people, that's just amazing.
I completely agree with that statement. And there's so many people out there that get into the business world, the entrepreneurship world, and they might be coming from a marketing world. They might be coming from whatever other professional roles where KPIs, tracking stuff, and ROIs were their entire, let's say, professional life. They were surrounded by that kind of culture. And I've seen people coming into the entrepreneurship world trying to think like that completely. Like, well, if I go to that event, what am I going to get? Am I going to get contacts? I need to make sure that I get this specific ROI from a sales or leads perspective and so on. And it's very hard at times for people to wrap their head around the fact that this is the cost of business, right? Because at the end of the day, for you to do business, you have to have a really strong network.
Yes.
I was just watching earlier something around filmmaking because I'm trying to learn as well about basically how to be successful in the filmmaking world, and it's exactly the same. You have to have a really good network. And I was listening to this filmmaker, and they were saying that they get the same. They get clients and projects, filmmaking projects, from the same 5 to 10 people in their network. That's it. They have 5 to 10 people in their network that constantly introduce them to customers, to this, to that, and so on. So you don't need to put infinite effort, because I think on the other side, that's the other thing that people misunderstand is, a network. Well, I need to dedicate 80% of my time in order to meet the right people. And I don't have 80%, but it's not really like that. So I think that's the one thing that I've seen quite often talking to people coming into entrepreneurship from a professional background and looking at it as a very systematic, where, put money or energy in this way, leads come out the other way, and completely avoid the social networking opportunities market, in a sense. Let's call it opportunities market, because at the end of the day, that in a sense, that's what it is. I think you have an extra oomph that helps you with that, organically do that, because you are, from what I hear and what I understand, having one couple discussions with you, you're hungry to learn and to share and to give back and so on. So you see the value at that level as well, not just, well, if I enlarge my network, eventually I'm going to start getting some opportunities here and there for partnerships, for business, for whatever reasons. But it's also just selfless giving and learning from others as well, which is important, because then it's a lot more organic than trying to push yourself to do networking and so on. But again, the opportunity market of networking is what a lot of people don't take in account. Yeah, just wanted to put that out. And it's quite pleasantly surprising to see someone like yourself from the industry that you are doing that. But I'm looking at it from the outside. Is this a regular thing in the pharma and the scientific world? There's a lot of networking. There's a lot of people sharing. I suppose it is.
There is, but I think it's more formal. In the startup world, what I realize is that the energy and the authenticity is much more there than compared to the pharma world, which is a very old industry. Even if we stay, don't misunderstand me, old in a way that from a mindset perspective, from a functioning perspective, we can be very modern in what we do and innovation and product. But from a culture perspective, it's very different for what I have observe in the startup world, where you connect with people very naturally. You can be authentic with what you're living right now, where in pharma world, you're still, having a short at work and stuff like that, where in the startup work, if you go with a short, that's okay. So I think that's a good illustration of what's the difference between the industries. And coming back to what you just said regarding networking, is not just only about connecting with people that can eventually lead to opportunities, but it's also, on the journey of an entrepreneur, there are so many hurdles. And it's so easy to give up at some point saying, hey, okay, I hit a wall, I tried, that's fine. So the first challenge for me is to jump into the water, and then you will have so many hurdles along the way that you need to be creative to overcome them. And most of them will be solved thanks to an idea you will get from someone, a support, an introduction, something.
Oh, yes.
And I would like, if there is a message I can give to any entrepreneur or anyone who wants to start that journey, don't expect to be a smooth journey. You will have walls, but your ability to overcome those challenges is probably proportional to the success you could have in the future. So don't stop after 1-2 orders. You don't have to be stupid though, right? So when it's impossible, you need to be clear about yourself and don't continue to smash on the same wall. But you need to be creative and be able to turn around and, try the window if doors doesn't work, those kind of things. And for that, networking is also very, very important.
I like how you've mentioned it. Really well put, because that is so value. Because I do, when I was failing startup after startup, there were a lot of other ingredients that caused me to constantly fail in my early 20s. But I think I had absolutely zero perspective of what the business world is like, or what other founders, startup founders were doing. And now is the complete opposite. And you're right. And the reason why I like what you said is because being successful, it's, what network and the experience that you gain while on your trajectory is very important, because you're getting context, you're getting other experiences, you're learning, and you're getting inspired. Like artists steal, right? And it's very important in order to become a versatile founder and one that can succeed, because without versatility is very difficult. Unless you're in the right place at the right time, being rigid and not having a very wide array of perspectives and assimilating that and being just super narrow, it's very hard to make it happen.
Yes. You want a story to illustrate that?
Yes, go ahead.
So when I decided to start my own business and jump into the entrepreneurship, I started in my living room, cutting cartons and creating boxes. And I went to that course I was mentioning before, and they told us, you know what, you need to meet your customer as soon as possible, create a connection, a relationship. So I went on there and connected with potential customer. And the first one was told me, hey, I'm interested. Can we have a call? We had a call, and he said, hey, I see there is an idea there, but you're far from what we could maybe be interested in. But this is my piece of feedback. And he gave us some feedback. And then 6 months later, we continue to send him some ideas and prototype, etc. And each time he was giving us feedback. And at the end, it was the first one who signed a pilot with us just to test the product that he was helping us to build, because the version we gave him at the end, which he signed for, was exactly based on the feedback he gave before. So this story about, and I think between the two, there are maybe 6 or 7 versions, right? So don't let it down. If you think there is something and you receive feedback, it's good, because it means that people believe in what you're doing. So you have to trust the feedback you get and be open to it, adapt, pivot, change to ensure that you will be addressing what they are giving you, because at the end, that will be the customer at the end. So that was a very fantastic story, and I thank that person.
Was that shocking, surprising to you? because someone is so invested in a potential customer and lead is so invested into what you're
I
doing.
think I would like to ask him the question at some point to have a coffee, discussing about how it happened
It's like,
in his
why?
head.
Why did you trust me?
Like,
Like, why did you get into
why did
bed
you?
with me, basically?
Yes, or what? Why did he spend the time to analyze and give us the feedback? It took some hours every 2 months to give us feedback that was fantastic, so valuable for us.
I'm asking if you were surprised and shocked, because I remember very well a very similar situation where Nikki and I were building the first product for the Atlassian marketplace for Jira. And we didn't really believe in it, in a sense. We're so doubtful that something like this would work. And when we got the first payment, right? Because trials are trials. People will try anything, right? As long as it's free. When someone pays for it and they commit and say, yes, I like this, I want to use this, it was such a shocking moment for us.
And you own something at that time, right? It's
Yeah.
become real. It's not just a concept anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that pushed us as well to put more effort in it, get more involved, get them on a call to get an idea of what they would like to see. And I think that's what's quite valuable. And I've been in the early days, I was thinking, well, why should I give stuff out for free? Customers should pay. I don't care. If they give feedback, well, they give feedback for their benefit. I mean, yes, but the biggest gainer here is you, the company, the product owner, the founder. Not just because they help you completely for free in basically getting your product sellable, but two, you get a significant incentive from a emotional, mental perspective to push towards getting that product where it has to be when someone's so invested in it. And that's why nowadays, like before selling our business at Jigsaw, we were practicing that. When we would launch a product, we would get a couple of leads that we knew they were interested in the product, and we would give them the product for 12 months for free. It's like, you can use it for 1 year completely free in exchange for us having a couple of conversations and seeing how we can improve the product for your needs. From a customer perspective, not only that they're getting the product for free for 1 year, but also they get to contribute to making it, getting the value that they need out of it. So it's a very sweet deal. And for us, it was the reasons that I mentioned, right? So it's very valuable for us to build something that our customer profiles would use. And two, it just keeps you engaged and motivated. Maybe at the beginning, when you don't have a lot of installations for your software or not a lot of orders and so on, it's very easy to get disheartened and just drop it eventually. But if you have others involved that have a stake in what you do, you're a lot more motivated to make it work.
Correct. And I think that's where, with that story, you realize that with the same product, you can have two go-to-market strategy. One will be a fiasco. It will not work. And because you made it a certain way, then you get the traction, then you get the feedback, you have the successful story you can share, and then it can take off. So I think having a good product solving a problem is something good. It's a good start. It's the base. But then the go-to-market strategy is so important, and marketing, positioning, etc. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and I'm excited for your strategies to go to market, especially the pickup locations. That feels like such a no-brainer for something like this. I wanted to ask you, how do you get your ideas? So you mentioned that along the way, while in the industry, in the pharma industry, you had plenty of ideas here and there, and then I suppose the a reusable packages idea also came from something. how, one, what I'm interested in is, one, how do these ideas come to you? Is it just, oh, that's rubbish, I would change it? And then how do you pursue that idea a bit further, right? Because a lot of people have a fleeting thought. Oh, that thing is, it could be better. If I would change this, I would do better. But then completely forget about that and never go back to it. When you say you had ideas along the way of these 16 years in pharma, I suppose that you don't refer only to that, but things that
Yes.
you thought about more than once, that you were thinking this could be a business. So I want to know, one, how the ideas come to you, if you ever thought, reflected over, man, I'm the type of person that's quite ingenious and creative in thinking of solutions. And then second, how do you step to the next step? Because I think that's what a lot of people have a challenge with, getting the motivation and having the system mental to start evolving that fleeting thought of an idea.
Yep. So you're correct. The ideas I got in the past has nothing to do with sustainable packaging. And as I mentioned, life forced me to think about something else, and entrepreneurship was calling me. So the challenge was, okay, what will I do? And then I just go to the recycling park, and one day I saw that person coming with a pile of carton just to the recycling. It's coming from Amazon and other e-commerce retailer. And I say, yeah, maybe we have something to do about it, because the carton, they were very well folded, very flat, not damaged, and say, come on, can we not reuse it? And I was starting investigating, looking online, discussing with people, and I realized, okay, there is something we could do there. And I noticed that there was also some competitors already in the field with soft bags, meaning that, to transport a shirt, some clothes, it's okay, but there are a lot of things that need protection during the transport. Electronic, cosmetics, or anything that is a bit more fragile needs a stiff box around it to be able to be shipped. So I thought that there was an unmet need, and say, okay, you have a situation. It's a very valid topic with the planet and the global warming and everything. We would like to tackle the waste. It was a need from the market because reusable bags were existing, but boxes were not there, or not very practical, difficult to use. So I started just to design some stuff at my place, and then together and say, oh, maybe there is something. And then I started connecting with people and say, hey, there is a traction. And then I took that course, and then eventually I incorporated the company, jump into the water. And what helped me at that time was asking myself the question, what do I have to lose? Okay, just try. Okay, maybe you will lose a bit of money because you try, but at least you don't have any regret. And you were thinking about something for so long. Now you have the chance. Just do it. The idea might not be perfect, but I'm sure you will be able to deliver and execute in a good way. So that was the story.
So are you planning to bootstrap, or you're looking for getting funded as well along the way?
That's a very good question, and both options are possible. It depends of what the market, how it will react. If we want to go faster, funding will be good. Like this, we can have additional resources, but I'm open to what life will give me. So I keep both options open for the moment.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it really depends on the situation. But I think it's good that you had the means to transition, because I think that's one of the things that people are challenged with, especially here in London. I mean, we're in Brighton, we're not in London. But while I was living in London, myself and everyone that I knew, no one had savings. Like, everyone was living off month by month. And it's not necessarily that they didn't have the salaries or the revenue to put money aside. It's just a bit the culture and the attitude in London, at least. At least when I used to live there, you would go and have like a $5 coffee every single day and then go out with your friends and socialize and do this and buy yourself these things, and you just live month by month. So I think there's a lot of people out there that can't afford that. So in a way, I do feel like for you it was a really right. And you see, the pharma did help you, because I suppose you had your own savings, and you had a moment where you sat down with your family, and I'm assuming, I don't know, but this is what usually happens, and thought, right, if I take the leap into this, we have this much leeway. I know that for the next year, I don't need to worry
Yeah.
about sustaining myself. I can work on the boxes. I can figure out the business model. And then there's this much time before I run out of money that I need to figure out where I am. Do you use inflection points and phases and look at the forecast and think, well, this is the cutoff. This is where I need to figure out at what stage I am with the product, because from a financial perspective, I need to figure out whether I want to get funded, or I'm already on the path of generating revenue, so I'm okay. Do you do that kind of thinking?
Yes, and I think the financial pressure could not be underestimated. I think you're right. When you have saving, it helps you a lot. Connection, as we mentioned, will help you. But I think in my case, you could see it like this. Maybe the 16 years I've worked in pharma was just a preparation to jump into that water. I don't know. Maybe it's just, opportunities in life that you take. But I completely agree that if you have a financial pressure on the day after, it's very difficult to start a business. So you need to find a way to be creative and do it on your free time, have a separate job or a normal job, 9 to 5, to be able to live, and then you create your stuff in parallel. So there is a lot of commitment and investment from an energy, from the impact on your life in general when you do those kind of startups. It's very big, and it's not easy. So you need to be prepared for some hard work.
Have you felt that pressure on yourself so far, or have you so far been good? You still able to do stuff, and have you had any moments along the way since starting
Every
this
day.
business?
Every
You're
day.
always concerned about
Every
the
day.
money
Every
part.
day.
I think we all do.
And I feel lucky. So no, it's really something that is present, and you have to deal with, and you need to think from distance, take some distance regarding your own situation and say, okay, what are my options? What should I do? How can I navigate that situation? How much money do I need to live on? And those kind of things. So it's very important. But I think it's a good introduction for a question I have for you, if you may ask. Are you open to some feedback regarding this setup? You call your podcast Misfit Founder. And I think that name is very well chosen, because Misfit, I think, for what I know, or at least it's very valid for me, at some point during your journey, entrepreneur journey, you think you are not the right person, or you don't have the right skill set, or you are not educated for doing that. So you, at some point, you feel you're a misfit. And I think that's the best thing that can happen to you, because you have that challenge that you will dig deeper, you will connect, you will try to be creative, and that's make you unique. So I think that's a feedback I wanted to give you. I think you choose it very wisely. And for all that are listening to this podcast and thinking, but I'm not sure I'm done. I'm designed to do it. I'm wired to do those kind of things. I like my comfy zone. I would like to, but I'm not sure how to do it. It's perfectly normal. And if you think that you're not ready, that's probably the best moment to start. So you will learn along the way, and you learn on the job. Unfortunately, on the startup, you don't become a businessman or a leader or a product owner. There is no school for that. Even if you can mitigate some risk because you learn some stuff, you can decrease the chances to have some bad news along the way or some failures. But I think that's perfectly normal to not be ready, and that's what make you a good founder, because you will be creative and you will hold on.
I think we don't get born natural founders, leaders, and so on. We pick up a lot of that from the environments that we exist in as children, then later as teenagers and young adults. But every single time you are out of place, right? Every single time you get into a new thing, it's kind of like you never experienced that. You're gonna feel at least a bit awkward, or at least a bit that you don't belong in that setup, especially if that setup already exists. There's curiosity, there's interest, and so on, but there's always, with a lot of us at least, that fear of, taking the step and figuring out, is it soft? Am I gonna drown if I put my feet here, and so on, right?
Yep.
So there's always fears, there's always curiosity, there's always the feeling of, am I in the right place? Should I be here? I've never done this before, and a bit of like a refraining yourself. And I think you're a pure example of that. And I suppose you felt like a misfit in the early days of running a startup after 16 years of doing something completely different, and now stepping into this. It must have been new and a bit frightening.
Yes.
What was for you the scariest thought thinking about hopping, let's say, either before or when you decided, yes, I'm doing it? What was the scariest thought?
It was not about failing the business, because I wanted to try and I will do my best to make it successful. I think the biggest fear was about money. I'm a husband, I'm a father. We moved away from Belgium to Switzerland, so we have friends, but we have no family there. So I was kind of responsible for the financial security of the family, and that was for me the biggest pressure and the biggest fear I had when I started.
So it's the money aspect of it. I want to ask another question. Feel free to answer it or not if you don't want to. I know I'm kind of like trying to figure out this, but when I'm asking these questions, I'm asking because somewhere deep down inside, there might be a version of me that have been through situations and thoughts like this. So take it as is. It's not coming from a bad place. Being so at a stage in your life where you have a life partner, you have family, and so on, do you feel like these steps taking into, getting into this business and so on, do you have that fear of failure and how that will be seen by your family, your friends, and things like that, and people like that, whether, let's say, this business doesn't work? Like, now I know family is very supportive and it's like, all or nothing, and this is coming from me deep down inside, because I had moments where I would start a business and I was on the brink of failing that, and in the back of my thought, not just how am I going to feel when this collapses, but also what's my mom gonna say, right? She's probably gonna she's gonna tell me that everything's okay and so on, but is she? I feel embarrassed, right? I feel embarrassed to my family, my mom, and it's seeing that I'm failing yet again another business and so on. So those thoughts, at least for me, creeped in my head and so on, and it's a big spotlight on you, right? Because you come from doing 16 years and progressing to something, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm now an entrepreneur, right? If things go bad, how would that make me feel, thinking that, my family and so on helped me with the packaging, gave me feedback, everyone was supportive, and this that didn't work out. Did you ever had those feelings? Maybe I had them with my mom and my guys, because I know my relationship with my mom and stuff. I don't know, maybe I don't have it that much with Nikki and so on. I'm just asking to see if there's
I think I will reply.
it's a hard question and an awkward question, and that's why I said you're free to not answer it.
I think it's about alignment. So when you start doing a business, you need to be authentic. You need to, or at least it helps a lot. I think it's difficult to be successful if you don't truly be yourself when you start your business. And if you do so and you put it with, your passion, your energy, then what you will do is much more what you are. And then if people don't like it, then that's probably a shame. But I think if you do it with your energy, your passion, with your authenticity, then if it fails, you have no regret because it was you. You led it the way you wanted to do it. And if it works, that's fantastic because it's you, and you will, find a lot of meaning in that. And if it fails, at least you tried, and you will be a better version of yourself after that experience. So that's how I see it. And what I did personally, I tried to map out, and I really put that on paper, why I wanted to do that. Not that specific project, but more in general, why I wanted to start a business, why I wanted to do it this way. Why do I leave the pharma world? And I could say, okay, you know what? The pharma company just laid me off. I just find a new job and continue what I was doing before. That's fine. It happens to a lot of people, even if it's a bit hard when it happens. But I decided to give another direction to my life, and I think it's what I want it to be, and then it's meaningful. And if people want to support you, that's fine. If they do not want, that's okay, fine, because you feel very much in peace with what you are doing.
That makes sense. Yeah. When you believe in and you're take full responsibility and ownership of the things that you do, and I like what you said about putting down, this is, these are my reasons, because that, I think that's useful for you, but it's not useful just for you. It's useful for you to be able to vocalize it for the people around you that might be impacted or affected by your decisions, in a sense, right? So, I think that's a benefit. Another very intimate question here. Are you super transparent with your partner, and do you talk often about your business and I've been to this event, this happened, this thing was a bit crappy and so on? Do you have that kind of relationship?
Yes, I do. I think I'm kind of the person, there are some people who want to energize by connecting with others. When I'm a bit down, I like to look into myself. So I usually go walking alone or just listen to music alone. And I like to re-energize myself being with me.
Right.
And my wife is completely the opposite. She needs to connect with people all the time. She likes it. She loves it. And
I think I'm more like your wife, and Nikki, my partner, is like you from that perspective.
And I think that's good because in a couple, you also need diversity. And if you're with people who think like you all the time on all the topic, then it might be a bit boring and a bit, I don't know, difficult at some point. And for that, I really thank her for a lot of things, but for that as well. And I try to share what I'm going through with her as much as I can. I share good news, bad news, like this. She can understand why I come back with a big smile, or if I have a terrible day and I have in a terrible mood. And I think that helps me to navigate, and that helps her as well to support me on a daily basis. So yeah. I try to, I think naturally I will keep everything for myself, but I try to go against that and share, because I think at the end, it make our relationship even stronger.
I think it's important, yes, in a sense, being respectful of other people, of your partner's approach to how they want. Like, for example, I give Nikki's her space, right? When if she's upset or she's having a challenge and she doesn't want to talk about it and so on. I'm giving her space. I know how she is and so on. But we also, like yourself, learn that there has to be a level of communication in our relationship about our challenge. Like, I have no problem with that. I complain and moan to Nikki all the time. Oh, this thing happened, and she slams the door. I'm busy. Sorry. But there has to be a level of communication exactly for that reason, because I have friends back at home in Romania, families that are a lot more traditional, in a sense where the man goes to work, his partner is at home taking care of the kids and so on, and he comes home annoyed, upset, and so on, but doesn't share that. Oh, what's wrong, dear? Just pissed off because of work. Doesn't matter, right? So then you don't know how to support. You don't know. You just know that your partner is upset and you need to give them space. But it creates a very ones and zeros, black and white type of environment where you're either upset and there's space and silence. And I know, because I grew up in that kind of family. Like, my mom was at home and my dad would go to work, and he would get home angry, he would get aggressive towards us, towards my mom, and so on. That's why they eventually divorced, right? But my dad never open to talk about, yeah, look, this thing happened and it was like that, and my mom to be able to comfort him. That never happened, because my dad was like, I know my business stuff, and he wouldn't super openly talk about it, right? Maybe sometimes over this and that, a bottle of wine or something like that, we can talk about a challenge and so on, but usually not there on the spot, more often than not. And I think that, in a sense, it's not, at least from my perspective, the right relationship to have, where you don't share with your partner. Oversharing is also a thing, right?
Yeah.
That can become very exhausting really quickly if you're
Yes.
oversharing and so on. But doing the complete opposite can damage your relationship as well. Although in the early days you might not think so, because you might think, well, it's your business, it's your thing. Don't need to know about it, as long as we're okay and we have our relationship. You basically, if you're a founder and you're going through all of these challenges and you don't have support, emotional, moral, intellectual support from your partner, and you're in an early stage where these kind of moments happen quite often.
Yes.
I don't believe in that kind of relationship.
You need support. We talk about the roller coaster of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
That's very true. At least I lived it. And if you can vent and share, and I think that's very important. But also another dimension, and then it's valid for business, but also in everything in life. I think when you do something, it can be business, it can be studies, it can be sport, it gives you an excuse, a reason to connect with people and discuss. And that's a very good way to learn and to evolve with yourself, but also with others, and a good way to learn. So I think in business, with all the emotion and the passion you put, especially at the start, I think that's very good opportunities to engage with anyone around you.
What was your biggest failure since you started down this path of entrepreneurship, or that you considered as close of a failure? Right. Some people find it very difficult to use that word, like failure or I failed. So, let's say a super big hurdle or failure, if you want to classify it like that.
I don't know if I can call it a failure, but it was a big hurdle. Is that when we imported goods in Portugal, and basically the border don't want to release our goods. So everything was set up, everything was ready. We're just waiting that material to come into manufacture, and the custom didn't want to release it for some. I don't speak Portuguese, so I was kind of an observer on that situation. I was trying to push the person in charge, say, can you do something? And said, no, I cannot. So that's not a personal failure, but it, from a mindset perspective, you could say, you know what, leave it. I stop it. It's over. And as I mentioned before, it's so easy to quit and let it there. And you need to continue hammering it. But a specific mistake that I did, probably I've done a ton of them, but I could not specifically take one and share that with you now.
And what's the, you mentioned a couple of things about your background and the sports thing and discipline and so on. Is it that, or is there something else that keeps you? Because I suppose, like, there's a very high chance that maybe other people would have said, get super spooked by that whole situation with the import and say, this is too scary and it's too difficult. Like, I'm just going to back out. What are some of the traits or some of the things that you're like, nah, it's annoying and piss me off, but we carry on?
You have two kind of reaction when you have that kind of thing. You can say, you know what, I quit, or you know what, hey, that's a good challenge, and if I overcome it, I will be even more successful and I will be proud of holding it and going through it. So it's funny, I think I text my wife at that time saying, hey, it's just a new challenge for me to overcome to reach the target. And I was so proud about me, learning that and being in that mindset with that specific challenge. And I think like 10 years or even 5 years ago, I'm not sure I will be capable of doing that. So, when you have done a journey, it's like you expect the finish line to be after the next turn, but it will never be there. It's an infinite game, like Simon Sinek says. And I think that's very true. So you just have to take, okay, that's a new challenge. Let's find a way.
But I feel that comes from your background in scientific world and so on. Yeah, because you don't hear often people say, I'm excited by challenges, by keep them coming, we'll figure out. I'm excited because I can search for a resolution for this.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the challenge, right? Some people say it out loud, but don't think of, like, in their head, they're not thinking like that and they're not ready for it. A lot of us fear that, like, have that, what if, I'm on this path, what if a big obstacle comes along the way? What am I going to do? It's like that, a bit that panic and that thinking of, am I going to be able to overtake whatever it gets thrown at me?
Yeah.
Whereas, for scientists and people in this, in industry where professionals that need to solve problems, the hard problems and so on, they're a lot more natural to that. So hearing you say, I don't know, I kind of mapped the two, and that's my observation, but maybe you don't
I never think about it that way.
About it.
Thank you for sharing.
I do think that, because like, for example, I get super annoyed or stressed when something happens, when there's a huge challenge and I can't sleep over it, but not from the good reasons, right? I'm not, right, how do I solve this, right? I'm just have a nervous reaction to it, and I'm like, I need to make it go away quickly. So what can I do to do so? We don't think of challenges that are coming as, okay, bring them our way. We want more challenges because that's how you learn, right? And a lot of people, although they might say that out loud because they want to, share with others that failing is okay and they should embrace challenges along the way, because look at me, I'm a founder and I've done so many great things in the world. So my mentality is embracing challenges and so on. A lot of people don't, unless you grew up in an industry where challenge is your work, right? Challenge is that you go to work to solve those bigger problems and challenges, like in scientific field and other worlds. We do have challenges all the time, but even as a software engineer, because that's my background, right? I would construct things, but the bugs that will come out off of it, it wasn't, a QA individual, right? They probably love the discovering, finding, Inspector Gadget type, finding the bugs and so on. Because I've done my job, I found the bug, but my job was to build things, and the errors, the bugs, things not working according to plan were just stuff that us as engineers would rather not deal with, not have them in our code. So it's always like kind of like this deflecting and fighting the bugs and the monsters that come with what we build. So it's a bit of a different, this is a long-winded answer and so on, but it's a different type of attitude in a sense. So that's why when you talked about the way you talk about it, makes me think maybe that's an experience thing. Maybe that's the years upon years in the pharma scientific world and so on that gives you that kind of attitude towards the challenges and keeps you going, because you're like, bring it on, let's solve it.
I'm not looking for them. I'm not sure it's something I wish I would have more, but when they comes, there is no other way to than just dealing with it. So
yeah.
But I think what helped me also is what I did before. I mentioned this map with why I'm doing things. I try to get back to that map quite often, and it helps me to keep, the big picture overview of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, what is my end goal, and also enjoying everything I'm doing now, because it's related to my end goal. And so it gives a different taste to everything I do on my daily routine, because it's connected to what I want to achieve, what I want to be, what I want to live. And I think that helps me a lot, and it's kind of related to what I'm cooking in my head about how can I use that to help others. And I would like to share back to the community, to whoever wants to take it, because I think that's something we don't learn at school, or at least I didn't learn it, how to deal with challenges, how to change a mindset, and how to cope with challenges, and how to connect with people, how to communicate. We learn so great thing at school, but there are so many things that we don't learn, and you learn it the hard way when it happens. And I think that's something I would like to help people with. So that's maybe something I will be working on in the future.
Yeah, I think that sounds very useful, because you can learn about how to do business, right? You can learn about marketing, you can learn about how to build products and so on. But having the right attitude and character, being a level founder, you don't find that many resources out there teaching you how to do this. And you're right, a lot of the things that happen to you, you just get smacked in the face. All of a sudden, it's like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Why is it happening? And that's the whole purpose of Misfit Founders as well, right? I want to help aspiring founders preempt some of these things, where you're not smacked in the face with a challenge. Oh, actually, I've heard about this challenge on Misfit Founders podcast. I'm a bit more prepared. I'm assimilating so many problems and tearful moments from other founders that I feel a bit more empowered in that sense, because I didn't have a lot of that growing up in the entrepreneurship world in 20 years ago, right? Like, I just get smacked left and right and KO'd a lot of times by failing my business. So I had to get up, get smacked some more, learn, KO'd again. And it's challenging. And for me, I think I felt many times out of place, but I think there was a level of resilience, because otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Like, I would be doing something completely different. And there's a lot of people that get super put off by the smacking, the beat down that they get from trying their hand at entrepreneurship and never look back at it. And I'm hoping that with people like yourself and through Misfit Founders, we can potentially help other founders see that people do feel like that. People do go through these challenges, and it's completely okay. There's always going to happen. And resilience, like you're talking about, and keep on going, and it's an important part of it, and having the right mindset to keep on going. So I think that would be a great idea if you ever decide to publish something like this, and if you need any help or more resources and so on, more than happy to help.
Fantastic. Thank you for the feedback.
Right. So what I usually do is have the ceremony. If you've seen any of the ending ceremonies, the ending and stuff. But before that, I want to, because you were asking about, giving feedback and so on, wanted to see if there's anything that you want to find out from me, any questions or anything that might be of interest.
I think maybe I didn't see it yet, but I think that would be helpful for me and maybe for others is to understand a bit more. You mentioned that you like filming and the technical aspect of creating a movie, but what is your personal driver to have founders like me in this seat and have those conversations? What is your, motivation driver and profound outcome that makes you have this fantastic studio and invite people and continue to do it and post this qualitative content you do online?
That's a very good question and well-structured question as well. I would say the primary drive has always been my desire to feel fulfilled by sharing and giving back.
Okay.
It's always been, it's not selfless in a sense, right? Like I feel immense energy when I'm able to post these episodes and I have people coming and saying like it really helped me figure out this or that. It is extremely rewarding to me. So doing this kind of like voluntary giving back type of work has always been very important to me.
Okay.
I'm also the type of person that can't shut up, right? I can't read books. I'm struggling to read books I do them from time to time, mainly because when I read a sentence, close the book, go to Nikki and talk to her for half an hour about that sentence, that idea. And I've learned this thing. And expand from there. And I've always been like that with everything that I've learned. I had to share it. It's always been important to me to share this stuff, and it's this feeling of I've learned something. It feels like a new discovery to me, and I have to share it. So that kind of pushed me towards getting into a place where I'm mentoring people, advising people, creating a couple of videos here about how I started Jigsaw. I have a couple of videos on my the Jigsaw YouTube channel about called Startup Corner, where I talk about a variety of topics. And I wanted to expand that and create a bit of more of a diverse, like I wanted to amplify, because I've been talking to people privately, mentoring people, doing a bit of content here and there about my experiences and so on. Sure, it would be great for Misfit founders to have a lot of viewerships and to reach as many people as possible, but as many diverse, various background type of people. Because again, I have many friends that are founders that have different backgrounds, that are from different countries, that are from marginalized groups and so on. And they all feel out of place. And for me to make a show where it's just me on camera talking about my experience, that's very limiting.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I want this Misfit founders idea, concept, to resonate with as many people and help as many people as possible. And that means going beyond my story. And I really love talking to people and listening to people. I recorded in Dublin 6 hours straight, 3 interviews back to back. And at the end of it, I felt super hyped. I didn't feel tired. I
Cool.
just felt energized from all of the conversations. That's my character, I think.
Cool. Thank you so much for what you do, at least with having me, but also for the community. So thank you so much.
I'm hoping that I can do more every single time. It never feels enough to me. Like it never feels this is it. I always feel like I can give more. So I'm always looking for new ways to give more. That's why I was talking about you earlier. Don't mention it on camera. The secret project that I was talking about. Right. Well, thank you for that. That was a really good question, and I can clip that and send it to someone that needs it. And we'll talk about it later. Shall we end it with the soon to be hopefully famous 3 questions? They're definitely not. I don't even know if people stay up until the end to watch these questions. I probably need to make a collage of all of the questions and answers.
Chapter. Just skip to the last chapter.
Yeah. I'll make a video just with what guests have answered in that sense. So, first question, a quote that you live by.
Sure. On the good days, you have motivation. For the bad days, you need discipline.
Very, very true. And I think the amount of times that I had to tell myself that when I had hard periods, and not just myself, like I would want very often to make sure that the team understands the same principle, because it's like you have days where you feel like screw it, but you just have to continue. And then the good moments, you celebrate them with passion. Yeah, that's when you're, very good one. You prepared for this,
Yes,
didn't you?
yes.
A book that changed or impacted, influenced your life, either your personal life or the professional one.
I think the book that impacted me the most so far is the book of Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Very Effective People. That's one of my favorite one.
Okay, who is it again from?
Stephen Covey.
Okay. Sounds familiar, but I'm not sure if
It's the same.
I think there's another very popular book around habits that
There is another one in the same space written by another author, which is Atomic Habits, which in
Yes,
the same,
yeah.
in the same space. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I need to pick it up and read it if I can read it. If I don't stop every single sentence. Thank you for that.
It's not a book that you read in one go, right? It's something
Right.
you read in little bite.
That's good. And a habit that you advocate for, a good habit. Don't tell me smoking and
No, I think I will mention something related to the business. So
Yeah.
Connect with your customers as soon as possible and keep that connection alive as much as you can, because it will help you at a moment you could probably not see right now, but also I think it goes in both directions. So you can help them and they can help you. So connect with them as soon as you can, as much as you can, without being invasive, but that's critical.
I mean, I was expecting you to say that because it did seem like it was a very critical piece of advice that you yourself
Yes.
received from others, and
Yes.
that was the catalyst of all of this in a sense.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me
Thank you
and coming
so
all
much.
the way from Switzerland. I need to. Nikki and I said that next year we'll go to both Belgium and Switzerland, so I might come visit you.
With a pleasure.